So thank you so much, uh, Toyoko, for being here today. I'm very impressed by your credentials. And not only that, I've heard a lot of great things about you and the work that you do with aromatherapy, which is the topic of the day. Thank you to our attendees to take the time today to be with us once again for this community Zoom chat. And let me just tell you a little bit about Toy, as they also call her. So Ms. Yasui is Holistic Nursing Coordinator at White Plains Hospital in New York, with more than 30 years of work experience as an RN. She received a bachelor's from Indiana University and a master's from College of New Rochelle in New York, where she specialized in holistic nursing. Ms. Yasui is board certified in advanced holistic nursing, oncology nursing, and health and wellness nurse coaching. She's also a certified clinical aromatherapy practitioner, at M Technique instructor, healing touch practitioner, and Reiki master. Since 2014, she has provided patients and family members and staff in White Plains Hospital with various holistic modalities, including meditation, guided imagery, healing touch, Reiki, aromatherapy, M technique, and has taught in many clinical settings and outreach programs. She has been engaging in this and designing research studies on holistic nursing modalities in clinical settings to achieve and offer evidence-based holistic nursing practice in clinical care. And, you know, we know that, I mean, everything that we're talking about here might be like a big mystery to us, you know, all this M technique, Reiki, healing touch, all of these, it's really, you know, things that are not very known to us in the medical field. And it will be great to talk about those. So today we're going to focus on aromatherapy, but I'm sure that we're going to have you again to talk more about all these wonderful things that you do. So let's start with aromatherapy. Like, what can you tell us about aromatherapy? What really is aromatherapy?
Great. Thank you, Sandra, for the introduction. And thank you for having me here today. I'm so grateful to talk about aromatherapy. But let me just say, my name is long, and some people get confused with, Toyota, Tokyo. I'm originally from Japan. So just remember me, Toy. My patients, my colleagues all name me Toy, Toy, so that I can say Toy can bring joy and happiness to bedside. So that was my catchphrase. So just remember me, Toy. And then, you may know the aromatherapy through the scented candle or the soaps, or you may even have a diffuser at home. So lately, consumers are more getting aware of aromatherapy or familiar with. But I just want to say, aromatherapy is using essential oils for therapeutic purposes. And it's been so many years in many different countries in all over the world. So it used to be a medication before these advanced medicine or the technology. So it can be used for antibiotics, painkillers, or sedation, or even like, stimulant for the appetite and so on. So now we are more aware, but I just want to mention what it is and then safety of aromatherapy, especially that's my focus today. So essential oils are aromatic constituent extracted from the various parts of the plants, so such as flowers, the roots, or the barks, and so on. And they are very potent. So please remember that, because they are 70 to 100 times more than plant itself. And the one drop of essential oil can be equal to like 30 to 100 cups of herbal tea. So this is very potent. This is natural, but it's very potent. And more than 220 pounds of rose petal only produce 2 ounces of rose essential oils. And the pure 100% essential oils are extracted from steam distill or expressed way. So you may find essential oils or the oils on a store, but it may extracted with other solvent or chemical, which may cause more reaction or skin irritation. So you have to be careful to choose the pure essential oils. And the essential oils, I have this container. These, it have to be either blue or those amber color container. And then it should have a botanical name and also country of origin and also part of the plant. Those should be on the label. So that indicates some quality of the essential oils. So I have one eucalyptus oil here. So it says the fancy name, Eucalyptus stronella. And also this came from Australia, and this was made from the leaf. So these information should be on the label. So that's one indication when you find the good quality of essential oils.
So, talking about these essential oils, like where do you buy them to make sure they are okay? Because you could go to like different stores and I see all these oils and honestly, I don't ever know if they're good or not or safe. So, where do you go to get good ones?
So that's a good question. And I don't want to, contribute to any companies or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I could say, those information should be on the label. And then when you find those aromatherapists, and they might can tell, more good companies and so on. And those companies should give you more information about each essential oils.
And how do you use these oils?
So there's a two ways usually, and you can smell like inhalation is the easiest way, and also you can apply on your skin. So inhalation, we don't recommend put in directly from the container, but usually we use either tissue or gauze, just one drop, and then just smell. Take a deep breath. So that's a good way to use. And also steam inhalation, you can apply on those boiled water, the hot water, and a few drops of essential oil, and covered with a towel or something. But you need to close your eyes to take deep breath. This is good for those nasal congestion, or if you have cough, that might be ease from certain oils. But easiest way of steam inhalation, I do every day, like few drops of essential oils on a shower wall before you take shower. So that while you are taking shower, you can also smell and inhale. So it change your mood and, you feel good about yourself or relax yourself. And the other way, you may find those patches. It's already essential oils in an individual container in a patch. And you may find online or somewhere. So you can apply on your clothes so that you can carry. And also I'm wearing this pendant. This is actually aromatherapy jewelry. This is the one way. So this was gifted from my colleagues. You can open up here. It's a piece of uh, clothes here. So you can put a few drops here, your favorite oils, and you can replace if you want to change. So you carry your oil, and whenever you get a little stress, you can just simply smell and take a deep breath. So this is one way you could do. And also you can make your own room freshener with water with essential oil so that you can apply. And some might use the diffuser, but diffuser, I have to say, you have to limit your time. So before, like half an hour before your bedtime or half an hour before dinner time. Because some people may put diffuser whole day, then you may get desensitized. Like any perfume or cologne you put on, you don't know how much you put on. But when you are, as a person, may get overwhelmed from the smell, then it might affect your small children or babies or pets. So just be careful when you use diffuser. It's so easy to use, but be caution when you use, especially those public space. But often we have to wear the mask now, right? And especially as a nurse, we have to wear like a 95 whole day. It has a certain smells and it's very confined and it's hard to wear. So those time we put in a tissue or gauze piece of that, and we usually do the double mask. So in between, you can put those so that you can still smell and feel good about yourself, even for a moment. This will change. So if you want to wear the regular mask, you can do the double or just put in a tissue. so that it won't overwhelm you.
Mhm.
And
And
then,
just a reminder to all of our attendees that if you want to ask any questions, just jump ahead and write your question in the chat box or the Q&A box, and I will be happy to be reading your questions to Toy so that you're here, you're participating, but you're also getting answers to all your questions.
and
In the meantime, go
can you
ahead.
hear me well, by the way?
Excuse me?
Can you hear me well? Is this okay,
Yes,
my
I can
voice?
hear you
Okay.
well.
All right.
I don't know how everybody else is, but if you wanna, again, attendees, if you wanna give me feedback using the chat or Q&A box, that would be great. But I can
Okay.
hear you well.
All
Okay,
right.
so one more question. How do you know which oils to use when or for what purpose?
Right. Let me just go back. There's a two
Yes,
way we should use for the aromatherapy, right? I mentioned the
yes.
inhalation, but next one is a topical. So you can apply on your skin. So you can make your own hand lotion if you have unscented lotion, or you can use the oil, carrier oil, to dilute. So we don't recommend anything undiluted essential oils on your skin because some may damage your skin, that irritate your skin. So usually 1 to 2 drops of essential oils in a carrier oil. And carrier oils are those called compressed vegetable oils. I usually recommend those jojoba oil. I don't know if you can see, but jojoba.
Mm-hmm.
And this has a long lasting shelf life, so it doesn't go bad or doesn't get oxidized so well. So it's a good way. So you can put 1 to 2 teaspoons of carrier oils and 1 to 2 drops of essential oils. So you can make your own lotion or the oils so you can apply on your skin. And so just be aware, don't put around your eyes and never use the undiluted oils. So less is more. So that's very important. So sorry. So go back to your questions.
Yes, so my question is, how do you know what oils to use and when and for what purpose?
Okay. So there are many different ways to use, and oil, the preference oil can be very subjective. So you pick few oils, and then good oil for stress management or relaxation. Number one is the lavender, because lavender is the safest and most studied oils. But just remember, lavender has three kinds. One I'm talking about is true lavender, which is Lavandula angustifolia in the botanical name. It's a fancy name. But just to remember that, that's the most useful essential oils for relaxation. The others are called spike lavender or lavandin, which are okay, but it's a different purposes. For relaxation, I usually recommend Lavandula angustifolia, the true lavender, might be very good. It can be used for your stress. If you couldn't sleep nighttime, 1 drop of essential oil can be very soothing, relaxing. But again, this is your preference. So if you don't like the scent, this may not work. So try out. And oils are alive. It's like any other like wine. So think about oil as a wine. So it's alive. So they like the cool place. So 40 to 70 degrees, you need to store them in the dark, cool place would be good. And each year, essential oil smells different, even in the same place. And of course, English lavender, French lavender, the United States lavender may have all same species, could be different smells in every year. So that's the nature create. And the other oils I could recommend is mandarin, the orange. It's very gentle tonic and it's safe for usually children or elder. And I don't recommend one oil you should use over and over because as I said, it could desensitize and you may not appreciate the oil anymore. If you like the one food you eat over and over and you don't appreciate much. So you always need to alternate in some way so that you can enjoy. And then having different oil can, be stimulate you in different way. So the mandarin is another good choice and we use. The other oils we use 6 oils at hospital. That's the safe and most effective we use often. It's a lavender, mandarin, and also I love bergamot, which is another stress oil from Italy, which has very pleasurable scent and it's very uplifting properties. And also the peppermint is good to stimulate your brain. It's good for nausea, headaches, and also if you have mental fatigue, it's good. And if you have sinus congestion, it's gonna open up your nostril. And then during COVID, we get so tired of wearing mask and everything. And then many nurses loves peppermint to just give you a little bit boost of energy. And the other oil we use is ginger. It's another good for nausea because we see many cancer patients too. And this has a warm constituent, so it might be good for the arthritis, aches, and pain if you apply on the skin. But of course, you need to dilute. The other is frankincense, which could be more spiritual sense, but also it's a good alternative. It's good with mixed with lavender, so we use that often. But others are rose is good and geranium is good, but you need to pick like a few oils and you need to play with it and just getting know the oil like your friends. But as I said, like orange, the lavender, mint might be the good choice to start.
And Toy, how do these oils work?
Ah, so there are two ways of working. So it's like pharmacological aspect. Uh, so it's any other kind of medication going through your lungs or the skin. Those chemical components can go through the bloodstream to target your organ or the system. And each essential oil contains the chemical such as ester, aldehyde, terpenes, and alcohol. Those things can affect your body and mind. And the unique about aromatherapy is it has a psychophysiological aspect because aroma triggers your memories and scents affect your mood and going through your front cortex of limbic system and aroma affects your brain function and the emotions going through your hippocampus and hypothalamus. So just like music, think about like music. When you have certain music with a good memory, it triggers, right? Good feelings. But when you have a bad memory with certain music, then when you hear the song, you get sad or those negative feelings comes up back. So it happened to the oils as well. So I have one good story during my clinical hours, during my graduate school. One of my classmates used the lavender for nonverbal male elder patient. And whenever she put lavender next to him, so he didn't talk, but he turned away from the smell. So she was wondering what happened to him. It usually calmed him. But one day she found from his daughter that this particular patient came from northern part of Europe, where lavender plants are burned when people died. So there's some association, I guess, for this particular patient. So in general, lavender is good for many people for relaxation, but not for this particular patient. So this is very subjective. So at Cancer Center, we've been very careful using oils, especially you don't want to associate with chemotherapy with lavender or certain oils, because later when they finish the chemotherapy, they might remember the smell of lavender, can remember those hardest time of their chemotherapy. So we usually mix to other oils or we alternate the oils.
And do you have some type of assessment that you do for your patients to learn about the different essences that they could tolerate or not?
So when we see the patient at hospital, we do have an assessment to see what's the preference. And also certain medication may affect with certain essential oil. Those oils we don't use, but in general, public, you have to be careful. So as I said, few essential oils I mentioned that before are usually safe because other oils can trigger with some other conditions. So those were if you are pregnant or if you are planning to pregnant, especially first trimester, you should avoid essential oils. And also some patients or the people who with epilepsy or hypertension, estrogen-dependent tumor such as breast cancer, have to be very careful. And also if you are sensitive to or allergic to any scents, then you should avoid. So those people who are very sensitive, I just said, if you like the orange, get the orange, just smell the orange itself, not from the essential oils. Because again, essential oils are very potent. And some people may not like the strong scents, especially those people who are vulnerable and cancer treatment and so on.
So, what are the negative side effects of essential oils?
All right. So essential oils are generally safe, but you have to be careful. And this has a chemical. And people think, the everything natural is safe, but
Mhm.
still it has a chemical in it. So you have to be careful, especially essential oils are potent, as I mentioned. So it may cause like headaches, dizziness, nausea, sneezing, or any allergic reaction. So if those things happen, you need to open the windows, get fresh air, and sometimes the ground coffee smell might neutralize the scent. So we carry those coffee grind when we see the patient. I mean, some people may not like the scents, and sometimes the window is not available for certain patients. So these are one thing, but it won't often happen, but you have to be careful because you don't know until you experience. And also when you apply on the skin, you may get irritation or some redness or chemical burn in certain oils. So just be careful when you apply and then never use undiluted oil. And just remember any kind of citrus oils such as lemon, orange, bergamot, grapefruit. Those citrus oil has phototoxins. Phototoxin means when you go under the sun, you may get burned easily. So if you plan to go to beach, probably not right now, but you shouldn't, use those oils on your skin. You can still smell, but do not apply on your skin under the sun. And the other precaution, it's a general precaution, but essential oils are oils. So just avoid the flame and please do not ingest by mouth because some practitioners or some company may say it's okay to take by mouth, but as a practitioner, we normally don't recommend. And also keep out of reach of children and the pets because diffuser, as I mentioned before, this might um, be very harmful for children or the pets because they have more sensitivity. And I heard one sad story using diffuser whole day killed a bird as a pet because you don't know, how much affect those things. So just limit the time. And if you are around with dogs, the cats, the birds, just to be careful how you use.
Now, you were saying something about, only using essential oils for like half an hour a day, because otherwise, we get desensitized. So, what happens after we get desensitized? Is like, is there a way to recover our senses again, or like, talk to us more about that, please?
Okay. So if you use the same oils or same scents over and over for many years, or you may get desensitized. So you don't have those sensitivity anymore. So I usually recommend like half an hour or 1 hour uh, each day, or change the oil so that it might be avoided. And if you develop those desensitization, probably you probably don't know, then just stop using for a while and then start again. So you should have those break in between. So one day maybe no sense day or something might be helpful.
Okay. But let's say, even if you got used to the smell, is it possible to recover that sense of smell for that oil, or once you lose it, you will lose it forever?
Oh, no, it will come back, but
Okay.
you need to stop, sometimes and see how you feel.
Mhm.
What different, the smell you can use, then
Mhm.
it might come back.
And what is the average shelf life for essential oils?
So that's a good question. So storage is another good thing. As I mentioned, this is like wine. They like cool, dark place. They put everything in the refrigerator with sealed container usually. That might last longer. But in general, they said after opening 1 year, you should discard.
Oh, one
And
year.
also, and also, if you make the mixture with carrier oils and essential oils, usually in 3 months you should discard because they get oxidized. And when you smell, you see the difference. So
And are there any, again, precautions that we should take, in using expired oils? Is there a way how we're gonna know they are expired besides a change in the smell?
um, usually it doesn't say any expiration date on a
Mhm.
container like any other medication, but when you smell, it certainly changes and gets more thicker sometimes, or have different colors. So those are not good time. And eventually, the plastic on those caps get a little bit eat by the oil too. So you see those difference, then that's time to change.
So, Toy, let's talk a little bit about, the health benefits of the oils. You've mentioned it could be good for patients with cancer. I think you mentioned asthma at some point. Any other conditions where we can help our patients with essential oils?
So for patient, we don't really diagnose with aromatherapy, and then we are not using essential oils for the substitute of medication patients are on. So at hospital, we are more for comforting and then ease their pain or stress for anxiety. But it's very subjective. So those oils we mentioned before, lavender, mandarin, frankincense, bergamot, peppermint might be good. But in general use, if you have a stress, you can use true lavender. The rose is another good one, and geranium or frankincense and peppermint. These are good. And if you have anxious, of course, lavender works for most of the things. So if you are not sure which oil you should use, true lavender is most effective. But again, if you like the lavender, it might work. But if you don't, then it might not work. So and for pain, I am doing study with the American Holistic Nurse Association right now. I'm one of the panel to discuss about pain with aromatherapy. And then I guess the lavender is the number one choice to either apply on the skin or smell. And the funny things about the smell, females are more potent to smell. So they are more tend to like the smell so that they can change the mood. I mean, smell can affect both male and female um, for their mood, but more for female. And also for pain management, maybe female can be more useful with aromatherapy. That's the latest. But still, there are so many things we need to know. But one thing they said, there's a structure of the brain is a little bit slightly different from male and female, and that might be the cause of sensitivity of the smell.
Is it safe to use essential oils with babies or children?
That's another huge topic. And then they are very sensitive. and then we have to dilute so much with those babies. For general population, I usually don't recommend to use that. Even the diffuser, you have to be very, very careful when babies are around. So, so often I met those uh, pregnant women, the patients, who after delivering the patients, I mean, the babies, I usually don't recommend, especially if they are doing breastfeeding. It might, go into your breast milk. So we don't encourage them to use.
Okay. And how do you dilute the essential oils?
So as I mentioned before, you need to carry oil, such as jojoba oil. You can use olive oil or sesame seed oil from your kitchen, but it could be a little greasy or the texture is different. So I usually recommend jojoba is the best for public use. And you can put 5 cc of carrier oil and 1 drop. That's usually 1%. And 1% is quite low dose, but
Mhm.
still it's not it's too high for the children. So you might dilute more. So 10 cc in one, or even much more carrier oils to add to dilute. Then you can apply on your skin and so on. Because we hear many those skin reaction. Even young lady put on the bergamot that smells wonderful, but apply on the skin and the skin reaction was so bad. I saw on a website those cases, and even the cinnamon oil you may get, but that has lots of phenol, and which can affect the skin irritation. So even some people put those cinnamon oils, during holiday, they smells nice, and then take shower, but it gets all the burn after. So because this chemical can cause the skin irritations, so you have to choose which oils to use, and there are not much, public awareness of that. So when you buy, you should research which oil is good for which, and then many websites can now produce those information.
Can you make any essential oils at home? Like what you're talking about cinnamon, for example. I mean, is there a way how you can make it at home?
No, because as I mentioned, essential oils are extracted from the plant itself. So we cannot make from the cinnamon, grounded cinnamon from the essential oils. No. So you have to have the real plants. And then, as I said, 220 pounds of rose petal can only produce, right, 2 ounces. So you cannot buy those petals from the stores. And it's particular rose or particular kind of plant can only produce those oils. So it's so hard to make those at home.
Okay. Well, I don't know if any of our attendees have any further questions. Actually, I got one. Can the scent candles be an alternative to essential oils as they are more affordable than essential oils?
So, some candles say essential oils in it and some don't. So if you like the scent, it's okay to use. But again, these are chemicals. So I normally don't like that, but some people like, so it's your preference. And if you like the scent, this might help for to relax, but it doesn't have the same chemical component like essential oils. So that might affect differently.
What about all these air fresheners? I don't know if they use essential oils for
Right.
that or what, but I know like you can leave them plugged in for like 24 hours or more, obviously. So are they gonna desensitize you? And then when you're gonna use the essential oils, you're not gonna feel them? Like, is there any type of interaction there? Because they're so popular.
I know. Again, these might be, made smells like certain, flowers or or product, but it may not have the same chemical component of essential oils. So again, you have to use caution. And I know it smells nice, but once you get to know the natural scent, then it may get irritate you. So it's pro and con. So you use again the limited time for the purpose you
Mm-hmm.
use.
Okay. Well, before we run out of questions and before we run out of time, if any of our attendees would like to write your questions here in the chat box or the Q&A box, please go ahead. We have another question, Toy. How do we refer a patient to an aromatherapy provider? And is it covered by insurance?
It's a good question. And I don't know if we have aromatherapists around here. I've never checked, but you can certainly check the to Google aromatherapist, then you may be able to find and those people. Or if you can contact American Holistic Nurses Association, they have those profile of the people around the areas. So you may find somebody, those holistic nurses who use aromatherapy maybe nearby.
Is it good before we jump into using essential oils to do some type of research? And if so, where can we go to find out, what the best oils are for our purpose? Let's say, if I have a patient with cancer and is suffering a lot of nausea, I heard you said ginger, but if I want to learn more about these and know which oils to use and for which patients, is there any website or any books we can read about it on how to use it? How can you give us a little bit more guidance? Because as you said, there isn't always an aromatherapy provider available, that we can go to and talk. So how can we get more information?
And the one book I have here, this is the, I don't have the his, it's a Robert Tessaland and Londi Young. I can give you the email later to
Mhm.
Sandra, but he has a good website and he's scientific based. And this is kind of Bible for the aromatherapy and for the safety. And this has more like professional use and it has more much about research and the chemicals. He's a pharmacist and a chemist. So
Mm.
it's more like chemical things. But he has his own website and it might be good for some users as well. So we can give the website later.
And is the name of the website the same name as the book? I'm
Uh,
writing it in the chat box. Essential Oil Safety.
right. But I think you can put the Robert Tessaland. That's the author.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that will be good because we think we know it all and we jump into using oils and doing massages and all of that, and it might have some side effects. So it's important that we remember that and we don't end up doing more harm than we're doing good, right?
Right.
Well, I don't know if you have any last thoughts, any last information you would like to share with us.
Okay. So one thing I have to say, the true lavender is good for many people, but it has a slightly estrogen in it. So some breast cancer patient with estrogen positive patient may use cautiously. And you should always ask your providers. But some provider may have no clue. They don't have anything. So then you should ask something. And if you have any question, you can, I'll give Sandra the email so that you can email me so that I can answer more, personally if you need. And but as I said, many precaution today because I want you to enjoy aromatherapy with safe manner. But safety is very important. But at the same time, aromatherapy is easy and fun to use. So just don't be afraid and try some oils I mentioned today and see how it's gonna work for you. You may like, you may not, and it's your choice. And always good to surround and good smell. It's so nice and it's good. It's instant.
Mm-hmm.
Aromatherapy is so just instant, change your mood. Especially now, you've been having those COVID fatigue and wearing mask and dealing with many like depression, sadness around us. So just change the mood, take a moment, take a deep breath, and ground yourself. So that's one thing I do. And then I encourage nurses or the providers to do the same. So
Yeah. No, and that's great to know, because it's like we can use it so widely, but at the same time, we need to learn what is good for what, I think, not just be using it like crazy. So I think this was very interesting. So again, last chance for our participants to send your questions, but if I don't have any further questions for you, I think this was very, very helpful. I'm glad that you joined us today. And again, I'm going to invite you again because I want to learn more about Reiki and like the M therapy and all of that. And I was like, wow, this is great. So thank you so much for spending time with us today, for sharing your knowledge. And, I feel that I'm going to go and do some aromatherapy now, right after this. So
yeah, I
thank
wish
you
I
very
could
much.
provide the sense. It's virtual, we can't. Otherwise, you can try some and, see how you feel through the oils. But
Yeah.
this is only the virtual, so I can send a sense, but
Yes, and it's another part of healthcare that we don't usually think about. It's more like palliative care, all of these, and sometimes we forget that small things can make a big difference in our patients, and this could be one of them. So thank you so much for sharing your
uh,
knowledge.
yeah, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you very much for joining us, all of you, and I'll hopefully I will see you next week. Next week we're going to be talking. Oh, this is heart month. February is heart month. So next week we're going to be talking about tips for a healthy heart with a registered dietitian and an exercise physiologist, and we're going to be talking about how to keep our heart healthy, small tips and all of that, good for young and old. So please join us next week and every week after that. And thank you so much, Toy, and thank you everybody for being with us today. See you soon.
See you. Thank you.